just wish I knew for sure.
I miss you so much. I miss all of you. And I hope you guys miss.
That's all for this edition of Dateline. I'm Craig Melvin. Thank you for watching.
The President of the United States held a cabinet meeting where normally you would talk about, say, the war you launched 4 weeks ago and the impacts of it and what every cabinet member and agency should be doing about it to bring it to an end, what the strategy is. Well, that wasn't what he was focused on. He was laser focused on, of course, another very important issue facing the American people, the quality of our pens.
See this pen right here? This pen is an interesting example. It's the same thing. So this pen is very inexpensive, but it writes well. I like it. And you know, you hand pens out, you're signing and you hand them out. Beautiful pen, ballpoints. But I'm handing out to kids that don't even know what they're doing. What is this, Mommy? It's kids. They're getting a pen for $1,000. They have no idea what it is. And it had another problem. They didn't write well. So I take it out and I sign and there's no ink. This one, I called the guy. I said, I'd like to use your pen, but I can't have a gray thing with a big S on it. I can't do that with the press. Use your pen, but I like the pen the best, but I can't use your pen. He said, well, I can make it nicer. I said, that's nice. And I can even paint the White House on it, sir, if you like, in gold. Almost real gold. And by the way, this was not staged. I just saw the pen sit there and I thought of this as an example.
Okay, I just want to note that we literally had to edit that together because he spoke about the pens for so long. It was more than 4 minutes. That would have taken up way too much time. But I do love the fact that he discloses there at the end that none of that was staged, as if any of us thought the extended riff on pens was part of his strategically written, prepared remarks. I certainly don't think it was. And I promise you, he went on, as I said, about the pens a whole lot longer than that. And when Trump finally did move on, he showed a lot less urgency and a lot less passion about the war he started than he did about America's calligraphy crisis, I guess you could call it. In fact, he said that contrary to all the reporting we're seeing, Iran is actually begging him to make a deal.
And they'll tell you, we're not negotiating. We will not negotiate. Of course they're negotiating. They've been obliterated. Who wouldn't negotiate? They are begging to make a deal. I mean, I read a story today that I'm desperate to make a deal. If I was desperate, he'd be the first to know. Pete, let's get the hell out of there. I'm the opposite of desperate. I don't care.
He's the opposite of desperate, everyone. You heard it there. He doesn't even care if the U.S. makes a deal with Iran somehow. And remember, Trump set a deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz by tomorrow, threatening to attack their civilian infrastructure if they don't. Well, late today, Trump announced that he was extending that deadline by 10 days, which doesn't feel like something he should have to do if Iran really is so desperate to make a deal. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Trump wants the public to think that he's got this all in the bag, that we've already won. He says that all the time, that he's just tying up some loose ends, finalizing a few words in the final document. But as much as that might sound like public posturing, Trump might actually believe that he can simply end this war whenever he wants. I mean, today the Wall Street Journal reports that behind the scenes, he's telling aides that he wants the war wrapped up according to his original timeline, which means within the next 2 weeks. Apparently, he's just over it. Multiple people familiar with the matter tell the Journal that, quote, in discussions with outside political allies, his attention has at times shifted to other topics, including the coming midterm elections. Who wants to talk about a war you started when you can talk about house races, I suppose? I mean, not only that, but Trump told an associate that the war was distracting from his other priorities, one source told the Journal. In other words, Trump seems increasingly bored by the war. He wants to focus on other things, like the midterms, of course, or, pens. But as everyone but him seems to understand, it's really just not that simple. You see, Trump has gotten used to the idea that he can make big, disastrous decisions and just reverse himself when he thinks things get out of control, when he sees people don't like it necessarily. I mean, we all watched him do it over and over again with his tariffs, threatening steep duties on imports, watching the markets crash, and then walking it all back. His habit of reversing his own decisions, as you all know, even has its own acronym, TACO, as in Trump always chickens out. But the thing is, Trump can't just taco his way out of this war. There are other stakeholders who get a say when the war will end. And whether he likes it or not, Iran is one of them. So is Israel. And their leverage has only increased since he started bombing Iran almost 4 weeks ago. Trump can't just declare mission accomplished and walk away. It's not how it works. And the people around Trump, the ones who are actually carrying out this war, they know that, which is why every report we get on the administration's thinking indicates that they are preparing for a longer, much more protracted conflict. I mean, just before we got on the air, the Wall Street Journal reported that the Pentagon is weighing sending an additional 10,000 troops to the Middle East. That's according to multiple people familiar with the planning. And today, Axios cites 2 U.S. officials who say that the administration is preparing a massive escalation of this war. They're calling it a final blow, but it seems anything but final. It could include the use of ground forces. The plans reportedly include the use of ground forces as well as several options for invading Iranian-controlled territory. There are even preparations for ground operations deep inside the heart of Iran aimed at securing their enriched uranium, which is incredibly difficult to do. All of that suggests a much longer and much deeper conflict that could be incredibly costly, not just in terms of the funding needed, but more importantly in terms of the lives of the American military. I mean, at the same time, Bloomberg cites multiple sources who say that the administration is also preparing for the possibility of oil reaching as much as $200 a barrel, a huge spike that would have major implications for the U.S. economy. And also today, the Washington Post cites 3 sources who say the Pentagon is now considering diverting weapons intended for Ukraine and sending them to the Middle East instead as the conflict there continues to deplete U.S. munitions. Now, on top of all of that, there are signs that the Iranian regime has actually been emboldened by Trump's actions. Reuters reports that Iranian hardliners are now ramping up their calls for their country to build a nuclear bomb. And the Associated Press reports that Iran is now operating the Strait of Hormuz as a de facto toll booth, strengthening their grip on the critical passageway and levying fees on any ships they want to pass through safely. But none of that seems to bother Donald Trump. In fact, Trump now seems perfectly fine with Iran's grip on the Strait of Hormuz. Which brings me to the so-called mystery present from Iran that Trump has been teasing since Tuesday. Because today, he finally revealed what it was.
You know, I told you about a present, right? Steve, can I reveal the present?
You can do anything you want.
Thank you. They said to show you the fact that we're real and solid and we're there. We're going to let you have 8 boats of oil, 8 boats, 8 big boats of oil. And actually, they then apologized for something they said, and they said, we're going to send 2 more boats. And it ended up being 10 boats.
That's right, everyone. The extravagant, expensive mystery present he was so excited about that Trump got from Iran turned out to be that Iran let 8 ships go through the Strait of Hormuz without blowing them up, or that's reportedly what they committed to. Now, for context here, prior to Trump's war, roughly 110 ships sailed through that strait every day without incident. So I'm not sure that either getting through is something to celebrate that much. I mean, 10 ships, that's a very small percentage of 110 ships per day. Again, 110 per day, 10 just one time. You don't have to be a mathematician. Now, to be clear, Iran shouldn't be interfering with any maritime traffic. But apparently, Trump thinks it's okay if they just let a few ships through here and there as they please. And there were moments today when it actually sounded like he had given up on reopening the Strait of Hormuz altogether.
The amazing thing is we don't need the Hormuz Strait. We don't need it. We don't need it at all. We have so much oil. Our country is not affected by this.
First off, anyone who has filled up their gas tank recently, which is most Americans, can tell you that our country absolutely is affected by this. But more importantly, the president now seems more and more resigned to accept the fallout from this war, even though the American people are growing more and more frustrated. A new Fox News poll out this week finds a full 59% of Americans disapprove of the job Trump is doing as president, his worst performance ever in that poll. And voters in that same poll disapprove of Trump's handling of the war by 28 points. It's not hard to see why Trump would want to move on from all of this. But war is not like taco tariffs. He can't just move on. The realities on the ground won't allow him to just cut and run. I mean, Trump's approach to U.S. military intervention is as maddening as it is baffling. But luckily, there's one person I know who understands better than anyone how Trump approaches these kinds of things. Atlantic editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg has had some of the best reporting on Trump's military worldview going all the way back to Trump's first administration. It was Jeffrey Goldberg who broke the story that Trump reportedly called Americans who died on the battlefield suckers and losers. And it was Jeffrey Goldberg who got a firsthand look at how Trump's second administration carries out war plans when he was inadvertently added to a group signal chat with top Trump officials. I can think of no one better to help us understand the disconnect between Trump's own view of this war and the reality on the ground. Joining me now is Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief at The Atlantic. It's great to see you. Thank you for being here. Let me start by just asking you about what we hear from Trump every day about his desire to end this war, to end it quickly. He says we've won. He says it's going to end in 2 weeks. And yet the military, there's been reporting that the Pentagon is looking to send 10,000 more troops to the Middle East. You've covered national security, you've covered wars, you've covered administrations for decades. What should people take away from that?
People should take away is that the thing that he says on a Monday is unrelated to the thing that he will say on a Tuesday and the thing that he will do on a Wednesday. It's not. There's no linear quality to this. There's no strategy, as we know, which is a problem. Going to have a war without a strategy and without a goal, without an articulated set goal for it. There are a number of wars going on there, but let's talk about two wars. The first war is the CENTCOM-run war, the military-run war. Mm-hmm. Plans on plans on plans. They are, from what we can tell, 50 to 70% through their target list. Mm-hmm. Degrading and destroying missile capacity, nuclear capacity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Those plans have been there and updated every day for years, and they're operating on that. Then there's the war as it exists in his mind, in the president's mind, the commander-in-chief's mind. Now, usually, in times of war, there's a lockup between what's happening inside the commander-in-chief's head and what's happening in reality, on the ground. There's no such lockup now, as far as we can tell. So when people ask, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? It seems, let's use the Strait of Hormuz right now. Iran has given us 10 ships. If I steal your car and say, I'm going to give you 2 of the tires back, you don't go on television and brag about that.
2 of the tires back for 1 day.
For a day. So he sounds like he's ready to give up something that we had before this war, which was control of free access to the Strait of Hormuz, which, of course, is connected to our economy because the economy in America is affected by the economy in other countries. I don't need to try to explain that.
We talk about this nearly every day.
No, I know, but I mean, it's like, it's like, if prices, forget it. I can't. It gets frustrating.
The strait needs to be open because it's a global oil market. Yeah,
and if the U.S. has, since the close of World War II, been the guarantor of free and open shipping lanes. It has always been the guarantor in modern history of the Persian Gulf. We've had wars in the Persian Gulf in order to keep the Persian Gulf open. So you start a war where you're supposed to defeat the country that legitimately threatens free trade and free movement of oil and gas, and you can't end up with a war that ends with your enemy in control of something that your enemy wasn't in control of before and can't claim that's a victory. Now, in a reality distortion field, you can say to the world, we won. But the world won't buy it, and reality won't buy it. So in other words, when he talks about 2 to 3 weeks, I think that's because he's hearing from his military commanders, look, this is what we've done. This is what we can do. Give us the order. How far do you want us to go? That goes in a kind of orderly way. But the opposite of orderly is what's going on day to day in his statements and in his plans.
Let me ask you about another aspect of this that feels very discordant in terms of his expectations or what he says publicly in reality, and that is the different objectives and goals of Israel and Prime Minister Netanyahu and what the United States may be, even though it's not clear to most Americans or to any of us what their exact objectives are. But it seems clear they're not in line with Israel's exactly. They're saying they need weeks more to fight this war. How do you think that disconnect or lack of alignment at this point, since this is already a war that's been underway for 4 weeks, impacts how it ends?
My guess, and again, stipulating that nobody knows nothing because the future hasn't happened yet.
You know more than most.
My guess is that Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, ends somewhat. This ends in a way that leaves him at least somewhat dissatisfied. He thought that the president, and believes that the president of the United States will execute a war plan that will lead to regime change, that will help the Iranian people rise up. We know that they want to rise up. The vast majority don't like their government, and that all of these things would trigger an uprising that would at least, at best, maybe not from the Israeli perspective, but from the American perspective, end in a democratic Iran, right? Which is a nice hope and a dream. Obviously, we all want that. Or at the very least, a state that has collapsed on itself and poses no threat externally, including and especially to Israel, but also to Israel's Arab allies in the Gulf. If I'm sitting in Jerusalem looking at the president's statements, I'm asking myself, what is he going to do next? If he's looking at the midterms, if he's looking at his own polling numbers, if he's looking at the price of gas, he can get bored. He can realize that this is too tough to go on, and he will leave the Israelis not holding the bag exactly, the Israelis and the Arabs, by the way, because the Arabs are signaling to Trump, hey, this was a war of choice. Now it's a war of necessity. So don't leave us in the lurch again. I don't think he'll care very much what they say on that. So at the end of this war, the Israelis and the Arab states of the Gulf may not have what they were hoping for, which is a completely neutralized Iran. They might have a hard-edged regime that has less power to project through ballistic missiles and through a nuclear program, but an angrier, more hardline power that could harass shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, just for starters. We don't know, because we don't know what Donald Trump's ultimate goal is, because he's listed all of the goals and toggles back and forth among them without rhyme or reason.
And Prime Minister Netanyahu has tried to convince U.S. presidents I've worked for to do something similar. So this is where we're kind of at.
Right.
Let me ask you about, I mean, I just listed some of the reporting you did on the first Trump administration. I think there was this widespread perception, maybe you had it and maybe you don't, you can tell me, that Trump was kind of more of a anti-war and anti-interventionist type of, like that was a little bit of his worldview to the degree he has one. And that was where a lot of people in the MAGA base felt what they felt they were supporting. And now it's something different. Do you think there was a misunderstanding of his worldview? He doesn't have a worldview? Or how did we get here?
I don't think he has a worldview. I mean, there's no coherence to what he's done in recent months. I can't. It's very hard to articulate this. We've had a lot of conversations over the years about national security and international geopolitics and the post-World War II international liberal order, and those conversations make sense because we're starting from a shared set of facts, and we're also starting from basic, clear ideological streams that aren't that different from each other. Some are more hawkish, some are more dovish. But here we have a guy who literally, to borrow the expression, he's literally just trying to get through the next 10 minutes. He's just trying to get out of the conversation without being publicly humiliated. That's my impression of what's going on here. Is it surprising that the pro-peace, semi-isolationist president is invading Venezuela, invading Nigeria, invading Iran, invading possibly Cuba? It's not surprising at all, because nothing is surprising, because it doesn't make sense. There is a bias. I always say this, that the real bias in journalism very often is not left or right. It's a bias toward coherence. Very smart people have made this observation before. There's a bias to try to make the world make sense. And with this unique president, that I don't know anybody who can do that. I would love to find them and have them explain all of this to me, but I don't know who that person is.
You're invited to dinner with Jeffrey Goldberg and I, whomever you may be out there.
Yeah, please come.
we take
give you a mug. We'll give you
a mug, etc. An Atlantic subscription, all the things.
That's worth a lot. It's not just a mug.
Fair.
Okay, I just want to be
one magazine. We take a quick break. I want to talk to you about Pete Hegseth for a million reasons, including the fact fact that he texted you war plans about a year ago. And he hasn't suffered consequences. We're going to talk about that. But I wanted you to, I don't know if you saw this, I wanted you to listen to something he said today, which is kind of in the vibe of how Pete Hegseth is approaching this war, I guess I should say.
The folks here in the room, these cameras, they have a choice. You're either informing the American people of the truth or you're not. Because I hear it from my people every day. Behind every headline you write, there's a helicopter crew in the air. And behind every news banner you write, there's a battalion on the move. And behind every fake news story, there's an F-35 pilot executing a dangerous mission. My message to the media is get it right.
Okay, lots to say about that. We're going to take a break. I'll get your thoughts when we come back.
I demand a lot of my body. I'm a singer, I'm a dancer, I'm an actor. Got it. And I want to make the most of every single day. I do want to do 8 shows a week on Broadway. I do want to travel. And I know if I want a lot out of my body, out of my mind, my energy, I have to put the right things into my body. Morning! And it gives me such peace of mind to know that I have this really simple and yet trusted way of getting all the nutrition I need. Oh, it's good.
Hear every moment that matters. Introducing the new Oticon Zeal, now available at Hearing Life. Try it risk-free for 30 days. The world's first nearly invisible hearing aid that's fast charging and long-lasting, with AI smart noise handling and Bluetooth connectivity, all expertly personalized just for you. Start your 30-day risk-free trial with a same-day fitting at Hearing Life. Call 1-800-HEAR-LIFE.
Are you Marsha?
I am. I am.
Thanks for meeting me here. Usually not an interweb dating guy. Barely ever use this phone computer. Unless it's to bundle my insurance with Bibbidi.
Oh, same. I hate this thing, but it's true. You can save hundreds bundling with Bibbidi.
Bibbidi?
Bibbidi?
Bibbidi.
Bibbidi.
Are you hungry?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get some lasagna.
And some pinneries.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. If you're over 50, imagine you could turn back the clock on your stiff, achy joints 10, even 20 years. Imagine you could do this without products that just temporarily hide the symptoms. Imagine no more. Instaflex Advanced. Get a complimentary sample just by texting FLOW to 369-369. Instaflex Advanced is different because it targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness. It doesn't just cover up symptoms. Instead, it bathes your joints in its unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients found in no other product. Key ingredients backed by 5 clinical studies. Instaflex Advanced is so powerful, you could have better knees in just 1 week. Maybe that's why it's #1 at GNC. But you can only get your complimentary sample by texting FLOW to 369-369. Plus, text now and we'll include a tube of Instaflex pain cream with its exclusive oxygenated oil for fast-acting relief from the pain of arthritis, backaches, and sore muscles, absolutely free. Text FLOW to 369-369.
I won this skydiving package on Deal Dash.
Lori won $2,000 Tiffany earrings for just $1, and Joseph won an iPad for just $6. There's millions of fast auctions, so try today at DealDash.com for $50 of free credit and your first win guaranteed.
Oh no! Our water line broke. It could cost a fortune to get a contractor to come fix it, and it's not covered by homeowners insurance.
That's why you should have HomeServe.
It's Tom Rootson, CEO of HomeServe.
When your water line breaks, HomeServe sends a qualified contractor to fix it and pays for the covered repairs.
With HomeServe, the American dream of owning a home doesn't need to be a nightmare.
Plans from HomeServe start at just $4.99 a month.
Call 1-888-246-2612 or visit homeserve.com.
It's fun for me to win on the course, but it's even more fun to win on Deal Dash.
Lori won $2,000 Tiffany earrings for just $1, and Joseph won an iPad for just $6. There's millions of fast auctions, so try today at DealDash.com for $50 of free credit and your first win guaranteed.
We are back with the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg. Okay, so you, a year ago, were texted war plans on a Signal chat, which you wrote about. We talked about it. Yeah. You also wrote a recent piece about how, it was a really interesting piece, about how Hegseth hasn't had any consequences. We all know that. But that in the military, anyone, any basic small infraction, there are consequences for. So it kind of stands out for that reason. But I was curious as to whether you thought, and I just played the clip before the break, he's been more emboldened because of no consequences. Is he behaving the way he's behaving because there were no consequences?
He's pretty consistent in his behavior, right? There's that kind of preemptive bellicosity to everything he says. He has kind of one tone.
Rhyming, chest thumping.
And it's a lot, right. It's light on information. It's a lot of intimidation. I mean, he's trying unsuccessfully to intimidate the press. I mean, I'm looking at that clip, I would remind the secretary that a lot of the reporters he's talking about successfully and to the help or to the benefit of the American people embedded with American forces over the last 20 years. We've had reporters go ashore at D-Day together with the troops. I mean, it's a long tradition in our democracy to have a media, a press that closely watches the military, praises when the military should be praised, criticizes when it should be criticized. And he's talking as if the press is the enemy of the people. You know the Pentagon press corps as well as I do.
They're smart and nerdy.
They're nerdy and they're national, and they want to have serious conversations about national security priorities, and that's what you're not getting from the Secretary of Defense. And so it's as if we don't hear from the acting National Security Advisor, Marco Rubio, very much, as I'm sure you've noticed.
I don't even know what he said about this off the top of my head.
I mean, he's very careful because I think Marco Rubio is the smart one in the pairing here in a lot of ways. He's very careful not to thump his chest and say sorts of things that will get you into trouble later. But no, I mean, Pete Hegseth is empowered. Obviously, audience of one, Donald Trump likes him and likes his performance, and I use the word performance very advisedly. And, you know, if you go back a year, it is true that he did something in the Signalgate, the so-called Signalgate controversy, that would have gotten any other military leader or civilian in the Pentagon court-martialed, indicted, disciplined, fired. You know, and the military, our armed forces, which are the best in the world, run on order, discipline, responsibility, and character. And so when you do something that a private in the Army would be punished for doing, you got to take some responsibility. That's the only thing that I hear people argue about today on this front, which is like, it was a bad morale moment when this happened because Hegseth lashed out rather than saying, yeah, I made a mistake. When I make a mistake, I take responsibility for it, and I learn from the mistake.
Jeffrey Goldberg, I feel like Pete Hegseth's going to be around for a while. That's my guess.
Until he gets another TV show.
Surprisingly, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up, for so long, we did not know what Jack Smith thought Donald Trump's motive was for hoarding classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, though we've seen the photos millions of times. But today, we found out more, and we found out Jack Smith thought it was about money. Congressman Jamie Raskin is the person who figured it all out, and Congressman Raskin is about to join me live. We'll be right back.
Cinderella's the best. Cinderella's the best.
My little girl loves wearing princess dresses almost every day. Irma has high-risk neuroblastoma. It was really hard to see our sunny, bright little girl hurting. St. Jude touches the lives of so many kids. And so even though her prognosis is still scary, we have a lot of hope.
Every minute matters for the children at St. Jude. They need your help. Please call, go online, or scan the QR code right now and give $19 a month to make a difference.
When your kid has cancer, just the stress and just the worry is definitely the hardest part. And seeing my wife's heart broken.
He was a healthy little boy running around, playing all the time. Childhood cancer is absolutely crushing. Hope is coming in these walls every day as he fights the battle of his life.
The search for cures must continue. Join with your credit or debit card for only $19 a month, and we'll send you this St. Jude t-shirt. you can proudly wear to show your support.
The donations and the research is saving our daughter's life. St. Jude, they lift you and carry you on the days that you can't.
They give us lots of love and made me feel like I had two homes, kinda. St. Jude and my real home.
You can make a difference. Become a partner in hope today. Please donate now.
With Robinhood prediction markets, every second is a chance to adjust your position. When the game moves, move with it.
We see cases where families lose everything in fires. Too often, victims believe it was their fault, when in reality, the fire happened because a smoke detector failed or a landlord cut corners. Morgan & Morgan has recovered over $25 billion across all types of cases. With more than 1,000 lawyers, we're here 24/7. If you or someone you love was hurt or burned in a fire, call Morgan & Morgan.
Call 800-690-0088. Call now.
Get new floors during Empire Today's gigantic 75% off sale. That's carpet, hardwood, tile, and vinyl. 75% off. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you're not buying generic Viagra or Cialis, you need to check this out. My husband tried this new 100 milligram generic Viagra for 87 cents each from Friday Plans, and it has changed our life. He paid $7 for 9 tablets of 100 milligram generic Viagra, and it has been the best $7 we have ever spent. It was so easy to get. He just answered a few medical questions online, and within a few hours, their doctor approved him for a free prescription. They even give you free 3-day shipping in a discreet plain package. You can get yours by scanning the QR code or going to FridayPlansMax.com. He tried it, and let me just say, I definitely noticed. It's just like it was back when we first met. I told him it's like he's a whole new man. Ladies, get your man on this. Men, if you are listening, you need to stop whatever you are doing and go to FridayPlansMax.com to try this.
For years now, we've known that when Trump left his first term in office, he illegally took hundreds and hundreds of pages of classified documents with him. We all remember those photos. Stashed them away at Mar-a-Lago and refused to return them to the government even after he was subpoenaed for them. We've known Trump did all of that for years, but we've never had any idea as to why he did. That is until today, because today we learned that Special Prosecutor Jack Smith identified a possible motive while investigating Trump. In a progress memo from January of 2023, Smith's team wrote, Trump possessed classified documents pertinent to his business interests, establishing a motive for retaining them. In response to this news, a spokesperson for the White House called Jack Smith deranged and a liar, of course. It's kind of their go-to, and insisted that Trump did nothing wrong. The idea that Trump took classified documents, potentially endangering our national security so that he could enrich himself, may not be that surprising. It's kind of on brand, but it should be incredibly alarming. Now, if you're wondering how we learned any of this information today, that is quite a story in its own right, because even though Jack Smith indicted Trump back in 2023, the case never made it to trial. The Trump-appointed judge assigned to the case, Aileen Cannon, dismissed the case, saying that Smith hadn't been appointed properly, and tossed the case out with him. Smith memorialized both the classified documents case and his investigation into Trump's attempts to overturn the 2020 election, writing a report on both of the cases. But at Trump's request, Judge Cannon barred the report about classified documents in that case from ever being made public. And you may remember from Smith's own testimony that it is illegal for anyone to publish that report. He wouldn't even talk about it. It would defy federal court orders. And yet, according to Congressman Jamie Raskin, the Justice Department did exactly that. According to Raskin, 2 weeks ago, the Justice Department handed the House Judiciary Committee a trove of documents with the purpose of providing Republicans on the committee with fodder they could use to smear Jack Smith. But the Justice Department made a big old mistake. Because as Raskin put it in a letter to Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi today, apparently blinded by the frenzied search to find any scrap of evidence that could be twisted and distorted to level an attack against Special Counsel Smith, you have quite amazingly missed the fact that some of the documents you provided include damning evidence about your boss's conduct and may well violate the gag order your DOJ and Donald Trump demanded from Judge Aileen Cannon. That's right. In an attempt to smear Jack Smith, the Justice Department accidentally handed Democrats some of his findings that Trump literally got a court to bar the release of. That is quite the own goal right there. Now, what the Justice Department gave Congress is not Jack Smith's full classified documents report. It is just a progress memo that Smith filed back in January of 2023, which was 5 months before he indicted Trump. In addition to saying that Trump took these documents with the motive of enriching himself, Raskin says that the memo suggests that Trump stole documents so sensitive that only 6 people in the entire U.S. government had access to them. That's 6 people, including the president. He also says that the memo specifies that, quote, the disclosure of the documents Trump took represented an aggravated potential harm to national security, and that Trump and his staff acted recklessly with the documents, not just storing them in unsecured locations around Mar-a-Lago, but doing things like having a 23-year-old staffer scan some of the documents onto her laptop and then upload the scan to the cloud. I mean, what? Raskin goes on to say that the Justice Department redacted the text in the memo that followed incidents like these, so it's impossible to determine if any of those incidents led to the documents being compromised or, of course, taken by a foreign adversary. More than anything else, the memo the Justice Department inadvertently gave Congress just underscores how much it is in the public interest for the Justice Department to give Congress the rest of the Jack Smith report. Take this example, for instance. Raskin says that the memo shows that in June of 2022, Trump apparently took classified documents on a flight to his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. Prosecutors determined that they identified a classified map that they believe Trump may have shown to individuals on board, an event that prosecutors believe was witnessed by Trump's now chief of staff, Susie Wiles. The memo also includes a map of the aircraft seating assignments and a list of the passengers, but the Justice Department redacted the list. Now, Raskin points out that around the same time as that flight, Trump was entering into a business partnership with the Saudi-backed Live Golf and with a Saudi-backed real estate firm. Remember after January 6th, most of the business world turned its back on Trump? I mean, the PGA, which had held tournaments at Trump's courses for decades and gave the courses a whole lot of clout, even cut ties with Trump. But then the Saudis threw Trump a bit of a lifeline. They funded a brand new golf league, spending through the nose to poach players from the PGA and hosted their events at Trump properties. That story has always been incredibly fishy, and now it is even more so. I mean, as Raskin puts it, without access to Jack Smith's report on the classified documents or his investigative files, there's no way to know what that classified map contained or what the relationship was between the documents Trump stole and Trump's business interests. Clearly, this is a lot more. There's a lot more the American public deserves to know here. But when Trump's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, was asked about Congressman Raskin's demand for more information today, here's what she had to say.
I saw that letter from Congressman Raskin this morning, who I would add has zero credibility. I think Jack Smith has been proven to be a liar and a fraud. And this is, again, a cheap political stunt from a Democrat on Capitol Hill who I think wants to get himself on cable television.
And get himself on cable television he did. Congressman Jamie Raskin, who's at the root of all of this, got to the bottom of all of this, joins me next.
You certain you can dry those pants?
Please.
You 4imprint certain?
Yeah.
Certainty matters. So when you need the right high-quality promotional products, printed perfectly and guaranteed to arrive on time, that's the certainty of 4imprint. Wow your clients, nail your next event, or inspire your team by visiting 4imprint.com.
4imprint for certain.
We need your help.
Go online, call, or scan this code to support WWF's global conservation efforts by symbolically adopting an elephant for only $16 a month. It's just 53 cents a day to protect wildlife and their habitats. Do it in the next 5 minutes, and you'll get this free adoption kit with this plush keepsake. Go online, call, or scan to help make a difference today.
There's a somebody I'm longing to see. I hope that she turns out to be someone who watch over me.
Nature needs us now. Go online, call, or scan to symbolically adopt an elephant for just $16 a month. You'll support WWF's global conservation efforts to protect species and their habitats. Do it in the next 5 minutes, and we'll send you this free adoption kit with this wildlife calendar, a tote bag, and this adorable plush elephant. Families are being torn apart. Go online, call, or scan now.
Your joint pain, arthritis, and muscle soreness is real. Listen to what real customers have to say about using MagnaLife Arnica Pain Relief Gel. The pain was gone in under 3 minutes. I now call this my miracle in a jar.
Available at your local retailer.
Take your business from launch to legendary with Shopify. Sell more with the world's best converting checkout and turn analytics into opportunities so you can scale further, faster. Take your business to a whole new level. Switch to Shopify. Start your free trial today.
Joining me now is Congressman Jamie Raskin, the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee, and the person who sounded the alarm about this Jack Smith memo. Congressman Raskin, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I should note that this letter you sent is public. People can read it. But I just wanted to dive into more of the specifics here with you, because Jack Smith clearly believed that Trump's motive for taking classified documents was business. That's one of the things you outlined, that Trump was attempting to use the documents for some sort of financial gain. Can you tell us why? What do you believe Trump was doing here?
Well, what's interesting is we asked Jack Smith that when he appeared before our committee, and he dutifully said he couldn't remark upon it because he had been ordered by Judge Cannon not to talk about what was in the indictment. So he refused to opine on it. And I wish I could say it was brilliant detective work on our part that somehow released this document, but the Trump Justice Department just inadvertently sent it to us. So that's where we learned of this memo stating that there was a business motivation behind Donald Trump's pilfering of those documents and his illegal retention and storage of them in the ballroom and the bathrooms and the pool house and so on down at Mar-a-Lago. Well, everybody had suspected that it had to do with business, and there are lots of different theories out there. They're all just theories at this point, Jen, but we know Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has a $2.5 billion contract with the Saudis. They gave him that money. He's got money with other corrupt oil monarchies. And so some of the documents taken were maps, and there was defense information allegedly taken and stored. So that's one possibility. We don't know if it relates to crypto and some of Donald Trump's new crypto friends. We have no idea. That's why we say release Volume 2 of the Jack Smith report, the volume about the mishandling of government documents case. Every other special counsel report by every other special counsel, you name it, Robert Hur, Robert Mueller, Kenneth Starr, back in independent counsel days, all of them have been released to the public. Republicans have always demanded that the public get to see them. And now suddenly there's this huge cover up and they want to sweep it under the rug. And what did we learn from this document that the Trump Justice Department, in their inimitable way, sent to us by accident? Well, we learned that the prosecutors believed there was a business motivation behind it. There were documents in there so top secret that only 6 people in the entire U.S. government could see them, including the president, which means only 5 people other than the president could look at these documents. And we also learned that Donald Trump was, brandishing the documents and showing them off on an airplane to people, including Susan Wiles. So those are some of the small glimpses we've gotten into what took place. But there's a very simple way to settle this. The White House doesn't like the fact that it came out. They claim that Jack Smith is a fraud and a liar, which is sweet coming from a woman who works for a guy who has 34 felony convictions on his record for criminal fraud. But Jack Smith can defend himself. In any event, if they want to get to the bottom of it, and there's nothing to hide, release the special counsel's report. Every other special counsel report has been released. Why not this one? Why is this one any different? What are they afraid of?
That's the big question. I mean, you raised a lot of interesting questions. I should note you just mentioned Jared Kushner. You also named Czech Live Golf. I just talked about this, and a real estate deal that Trump made back in 2022. Those were, of course, happening around the same time that Trump had these documents, which makes that interesting. You also ask, one of your demands to Pam Bondi is for her to produce a list of which members of Trump's family, if any, were made aware of these classified documents. I mean, we're all paying attention to and covering the fact that Trump and his family have made oodles of money during this administration. Why did you ask for the family members specifically? Is that what you're getting at, or what are you getting at there?
Well, it seems clear when you look at Bush's the occupancy of the White House in the first term and from what we've seen in the second, that this is a money-making operation. Donald Trump has made billions of dollars more in 1 year in office in the second term than every other president in American history combined. If you put them all together, it doesn't come close to what Donald Trump has done. He has turned the White House into an instrument of money-making and private profiteering, and his family is totally part of it. In fact, his defense for what he's done when people raise the Foreign Emoluments Clause and the Domestic Emoluments Clause, which he calls the phony Emoluments Clause, is that he is no longer running his business. He's just profiting from it. He's just benefiting from it. But it's his sons who are running his business. That's quite a defense. But in any event, it's clear that it's a family business. They're all working together. And so we want to know exactly what the role of everybody was.
We all want to know. Got to let us know if you hear anything. Congressman Jamie Raskin, thank you, as always, for joining us. Okay, coming up, Jeffrey Epstein's accountant gets one question and gives 3 different answers. Congressman Ro Khanna has been trying to figure out why, and we want to know too, and he joins me next.
New Sensodyne Clinical Repair is absolutely amazing. When your teeth are sensitive, they need special care. New Sensodyne Clinical Repair creates a protective shield over those exposed areas that can help repair sensitive areas of teeth after 60 seconds. I recommend Sensodyne Clinical Repair.
If you're over 50, imagine you could turn back the clock on your stiff, achy joints 10, even 20 years. Imagine you could do this without products that just temporarily hide the symptoms. Imagine no more. Instaflex Advanced. Get a complimentary sample just by texting FLOW to 369369. Instaflex Advanced is different because it targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness. It doesn't just cover up symptoms. Instead, it bathes your joints in its unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients found in no other product. Key ingredients backed by 5 clinical studies. Instaflex Advanced is so powerful, you could have better knees in just 1 week. Maybe that's why it's #1 at GNC. But you can only get your complimentary sample by texting FLOW to 369369. Plus, text now and we'll include a tube of Instaflex pain cream with its exclusive oxygenated oil for fast-acting relief from the pain of arthritis, backaches, and sore muscles, absolutely free. Text FLOW to 369369.
Many abused and neglected animals are hungry and need help right now. Many animals are starving, wondering if food will ever come, with the unbearable pain that comes with that, and they need our help.
There are animals that have no idea when their next meal will come. They can't even remember when their last meal was. And they are moments from dying.
So I'm here to ask you, will you open your heart to help an animal who's hungry? Go online, call, or simply scan this code and donate just $19 a month. You'll help feed a hungry animal. That's just 63 cents a day to fill their empty bowl and show them the love in your heart.
There are empty bowls that are sitting there waiting to be filled. You can tell that these dogs are so weak from hunger. They've known no other life but a life of suffering.
No animal should have to go hungry. And with your support today, you will help feed a hungry animal. You can fill their bowl, but you have to make your urgent life-saving gift today. So please join in the next 10 minutes. And if you do, we'll send you this free welcome kit to thank you for helping an animal today.
There's always an empty bowl on the ground that should have food in it. And it's very clear from the appearance of these dogs that that bowl hasn't had food in it for a long time.
We urgently need 3,000 new donors in the next 30 days. Please say you'll be one of them by signing up today. No animal should ever go hungry, and I know you agree. Please make this the moment that you say, I won't stand by while they suffer. Help fill their bowl too. Go online, call, or scan this code right now.
The average person would rather suffer through team building exercises than look for insurance. The Zebra searches over 100 insurance companies for you to find savings no one else can. Room for one more? The Zebra. We do the searching, you do the saving.
Simone Sanders Townsend and I have known each other for more than a decade, tussling over politics and policy when she worked in the White House and I reported on it.
And on our podcast, Clock It, we are positioning ourselves at the intersection of culture and politics.
Clock It is where we talk about what we see and hear in the news, so you can start to clock it too.
Clock It with Simone and Eugene. New episodes drop Thursdays. For ad-free listening and bonus content, subscribe to MS Now Premium on Apple Podcasts.
One of the enduring mysteries from the Epstein files revolves around an Epstein accuser known as Jane Doe No. 4, who also made allegations of sexual assault against Donald Trump. Allegations Trump denies. And a few weeks ago, when Jeffrey Epstein's former accountant, Richard Kahn, testified before the House Oversight Committee, Democrats asked about Jane Doe No. 4 and whether the Epstein estate paid her a settlement.
Is it true that Jane Doe 4, the citation is Doe versus Jeffrey Epstein, 1:19 CV 07675, Southern District of New York, received a financial settlement directly from the estate, as her attorney has claimed?
I'm sorry, I don't know who Jane Doe 4 is.
She's the person who has been widely described as alleging that President Trump raped or abused her when she was 13 in the 1980s. And her attorney is out there, has said that she received a settlement from the estate.
Congressman, may I just tell him who Jane Doe 4 is, just so it refreshes him?
I believe I understand who you're referring to. I believe that Jane Doe 4 received a settlement via mediation with the estate, I believe in 2025.
Okay, so he acknowledged who she was, Kahn said she received a settlement, but then later on in that deposition, his lawyer said he was not 100% certain he remembers Jane Doe No. 4.
We do not recognize that individual to be someone who has brought claims against the estate or that we have mediated with and resolved.
It was a bizarre turnaround. Now, even more bizarre is in a letter 2 days after the deposition, Kahn and his lawyer said that they could not confirm whether or not the estate settled with the woman. Joining me now to maybe untangle all of this is Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna. So I just kind of gave a summary of all of the different answers here. What do you make of that, and why have they gone through 3 different answers on basically the same question?
I mean, I thought I was pretty clear about who this woman was. She's the person who accused Donald Trump of raping her when she was 13. And she was interviewed 4 times by the FBI. So the FBI obviously found it credible enough to interview her 4 times. You saw he was very uncomfortable. He said, yes, the estate paid a settlement. And then 5 hours later, he retracts it all. And you've got Comer out there after the press conference saying, Khan is a liar. She retracted it all. So Garcia and I, who's the ranking member, said, well, we're going to write a letter to see what they actually mean. And then I think the lawyer said, well, you can't perjure yourself. That's a crime. And so they said, well, we can't either confirm or deny. What does that mean? They know whether they paid the settlement or not. And the reality is the fear that someone like him has of Trump. I mean, I've seen this time and again with people coming to the Oversight Committee. They're afraid that Trump could direct Pam Bondi to prosecute them or take some action against them. And it's really sad to see.
It's strange as to why he would be afraid. Maybe I'm not imagining it big enough. Do you have any information to believe that the settlement was involving Trump? I know that's a question you asked, but have you learned anything new about that?
We don't know. But the reality is, if there was a settlement, even if the allegations were against Epstein, and the allegations are against both Epstein and Trump, that's giving some credibility. I mean, you can't say that someone has no credibility and then the